What if your toughest race yet wasn't about beating the clock, but about discovering who you really are? Hey friends, welcome back to On Adventure. I'm Josh Self and I'll be your host. Today's guest is someone who knows exactly what that means. Lisa Smith-Batchen is a legendary ultra runner, a longtime coach, and actually a friend of Bob Becker, who you met in our last episode. She was his crew chief at this year's grueling Badwater 135 when Bob became the oldest person ever to complete the race at age 80. He did not hesitate in his interview to credit Lisa as a big reason he made it to the finish line this year. Lisa brings a powerful mix of heart, wisdom, and tough love. In this conversation, we unpack what it means to age with purpose, chase big dreams at any stage of life, and why greatness is something we grow into, not something that we're born with. Just like Lisa, this conversation was legendary, so let's dive in. Lisa Smith-Batchen, welcome to the On Adventure podcast. I think our just getting this meeting launched was a feat of endurance.
Yes, it was.
So welcome to my podcast, and I really appreciate you being willing to be on here and talk through all things adventure and endurance and anything else we can come up with.
Of course, I'm honored to be here. Thank you for having me.
Well, good. I was just telling you that I just a couple hours ago finished up a conversation with your friend Bob Becker. We'll be able to release his conversation and then yours a couple weeks right behind his. So this is really cool that we get to do it kind of back to back. But you're just saying you have a ton of history with him. Is that correct?
Correct. Actually, I met Bob when he was 60 and he recently turned 80. Believe it or not, I've been coaching Bob for 20 years. And people might wonder, why does somebody need a coach for so long? It's more, mentorship and, life coaching and all kinds of coaching. And I think that there's no saying about a coach how long your relationship is going to last, whether it's coaching you for your adventure or speaking to you as a friend about a personal, a personal issue or anything like that. So it's a great relationship that I share with Bob.
That's cool. I've never really thought about that, but when you're coaching athletes, that's a pretty intimate relationship if it, goes on for quite some time. And what I'd never really thought about is that maybe gives you the open door to speak into the life side, their life outside of athletic pursuits. Does that happen regularly for you? Is that pretty normal in your coaching clients?
It does happen on a regular basis, not with everybody. It's uniquely different. My coaching style is very old school because I like to coach the person. I like to coach, the individual and not just send them a program. It's my coaching style is uniquely based and formed upon each individual's needs. And if you see great results with the coach and you enjoy the time with the coach, there's no reason to get rid of the coach. If it's a really, positive outcome for both of you. So there is some people you might coach for life, and there's some people you might just coach for a month.
And you've been coaching for how long?
I have been coaching for almost over 40 years.
Okay, so it overlaps with your own athletic pursuits. You were doing it. How long have you done both side by side?
Well, I'd say I've kind of been an athlete my whole life, not a runner my whole life, needless to say, but I think that I kind of was probably born with running shoes on or some sort of racket in my hand or riding a bike or something where I just really love and thrive in the outdoors, doing whatever it's take, being athletic. It doesn't always have to be competitive, but just enjoying the idea of adventure.
So where did that start? You said you kind of started early with it, but were there moments, maybe back up a little bit and tell me where you grew up? Like, what was that environment like?
I grew up in a suburb of Chicago with
Okay.
three older brothers and a younger sister. My brothers were all pretty athletic, hockey players, football players, and them being older than me, I certainly had my share of trying to keep up.
Yeah.
And at this age, I'm pretty much the only one that is still thriving on, exercise and fitness and everything that goes with it. So I'm always still trying to press those brothers to keep, to keep going. Age doesn't
Yeah.
define you.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm the oldest of four in my family. And there was always that. I mean, I think all of my younger siblings ended up being more quote unquote naturally gifted athletically because they were always at my soccer practices or my baseball practices from like 2 years old, right? I mean, from very young age, they were out in the middle of all the stuff, and I always had a little bit of chip on my shoulder that they, they had a little bit of a head start that I didn't get. But that aside, I can completely relate to what you're saying. Having older siblings that you really were probably chasing to keep up with, and that gave you a pretty early start in your own athletic pursuits. But was it running specifically that you were drawn to as a kid, or were you into some of the other sports as well?
I was definitely into the other sports as
Okay.
well. Swim team, softball teams, kind of literally everything. I'm grateful to say that my parents tried us in every sport that there was, all winter long. I was ice skating and just always active, being active and being outside. It was definitely the way that we grew up. Our mother would have to ring a bell to get you to come in, you know. Too bad
Yeah.
it's not so much that way anymore these
It's
days.
not.
It's,
That is very true.
and if it went back to that way, boy, would that be awesome.
Yeah. A lot of benefits from missing that and or during that time period that we're missing now. And some of it is cultural and some of it, the environments are very different than
Yes.
what we grew up with. When when was there or was there ever a moment for you where it went from just like these athletic pursuits are fun to, oh, I can do really difficult things? Was there a point where you kind of had a switch in mentality?
There was absolutely a point when it was a switch. When I was in high school, I did not make the cross country or track team. Be-
About that.
yeah, I didn't. I was told I was too slow and I was asthmatic. So I literally thought that I was, I sucked. Like, you're no good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You take that as a young kid and you bring that back with you and you didn't make a team and you really feel so bad about yourself.
Yep.
And I really didn't start running until I was in college, my last year of college. And once I ran a 5K turkey trot race and I won the race, I realized
Jeez.
like I didn't suck after all. Like really? Wow. And it was just by chance that I ran it because a roommate of mine kind of convinced me to do it. But then I realized like I love running. And from that point on, I was kind of running pissed off or mad. I was running mad and then I just didn't stop. I just didn't stop. I realized like, wow, what we're capable of. And I went from, 5K, 10K straight to the marathon, straight to, you know, there was kind of no stopping me once I realized like it took something like winning a 5K to realize that I was actually a runner,
Wow.
and
So what happened with the high school team? I mean, was it that drastic or did they
it
just
was
miss
pretty
it?
drastic. No, it was pretty drastic. It just, I think back in the day that, more girls weren't running. It was more boys were
Yeah.
running. And so I just kind of took that with me most of many years
Hmm.
and decided to be on the swimming and diving team and decided to try gymnastics. And, it didn't stop me from being an athlete. It's
Hmm.
just held me up with running. And as I'm aging, like we all are, I feel like that may have been a blessing in some ways because I still love to run, you
Hmm.
know. But at the end of the day, I also, it's helped my coaching philosophy and my coaching style, where I believe you're capable of anything and everything, especially kids.
Hmm.
You can take a kid who's sitting on the sofa and can't run from here to the end of the street, and by the end of the season, they might be a state champion.
Yeah.
So there's never there's never anything in me that's ever going to tell anybody you can't do that or you're not good enough, because those words stay with you for the rest of your life.
That's interesting. I even especially as kids, like, but I think even as adults, we have a tendency to believe the things that are said about us. And even kids being, not having fully formed brains to be able to critically think about the messaging, whether it's true or not, or is there any background to where this information's come from? Like none of that is there. They just take it in. And so what is said was said to you, you believed without any other evidence until you had that other evidence. and
Well
and then you had
said.
the evidence.
Yes, well said. Well said. And it was, the evidence, and the
Yeah.
truth is what you're told and what you're said, what is said to you, but again, like I didn't let it ruin me or define
Hmm.
me, but it definitely helped to my coaching style a lot. And I don't blame the coaches for saying, oh, you're not good
Hmm.
enough or you're slow or whatever it was. I mean, and then as a kid, of course, you blow it so out of
Yes.
proportion
Yeah.
that you just feel like a failure. And there is no failure in trying. There is no, I think you take any kid and you help them and nurture them. You might not be the fastest,
Hmm.
but you can still go.
Yeah, that is certainly a message that I wish for me had sunk in. The idea that failing is not bad. Failing is really just part of every journey to of getting better at a thing. But I mean, that's a great coaching piece. And I think maybe, whether these were bad coaches or not, they obviously missed something. But what did you have good coaches along the way that have also informed your coaching techniques?
I would say I've had mentors. I think that I'm still developing my coaching technique. I kind of believe that in life you can be average, good, or great. I started out as an average coach and then I moved to a good coach, and I'm on the verge right now of greatness. Like greatness takes a lifetime of work, takes
Hmm.
a lifetime of dedication. Anybody can be average, an average runner, an average athlete. It doesn't take much to get to that point. But to be good, you do have to be dedicated and committed, and a lot of hard work that goes into it. But I think to achieve greatness, it's a lifetime of work, where my hope in my personal life is I'd like to be known as a great mother, a great friend, a great sister, a great daughter, and then a great coach.
Hmm.
That those things are a daily work in progress, and hitting greatness is what I'm after.
That's really cool. That's such a great framework for how to live. And I think in general, but that idea of becoming great, there's no shortcut. As you were describing that, there is no shortcut from average to great.
There
That
is no shortcut. You have to, no matter who you are.
hmm.
I would say I'm a natural athlete, but I would say that I have to work really, really
Hmm.
hard. I had to work really, really hard to get at the level that I was at. And the hard work as you age doesn't stop, it just changes. But I think in anything, whether you're playing a piano, you're writing a book, whatever it is, you start out average and then you get good at it. But to continue to be greatness, to play in the opera, to
Hmm.
have, number one bestsellers, you have to achieve greatness. And it's a personal choice of where you want to put your time in your life to I'm okay with being an average golfer,
Hmm.
an average cook. I like to be good at certain things, but greatness, you got to make your choices because we can't be great at everything.
Yeah. Well, but even saying that the starting point is average, to me, I hear like there's no shame in that.
Oh no,
You don't
there's
suck. You're okay.
no. You got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
If you don't start like you start, you've got, I'm going to write a book.
Yeah.
Well, start and write for 5 minutes. But if you never start, you're never even got the
Yeah.
opportunity to be average. Like
Yeah.
you're at ground zero. Average, you get here and then you move up and then you move to the highest level that there is. And not everything can we stay at the highest level,
Yeah.
especially and as an athlete.
Yeah.
Your highest level is forever changing. It's forever growing in all directions, not just physically, mentally, spiritually, with wisdom. And, you know, it's a beautiful grace, I call it, of
Hmm.
how you stay in greatness, but how it evolves and keeps shifting and changing.
That's cool. So great. Once you get to great, you can stay there, but the picture is constantly changing.
Yeah.
You're adding
I
new
mean,
paint to it. It's a different
absolutely.
background.
I
I've never
believe
thought about that.
I'm still a great athlete.
Yeah.
I'm just not winning. I'm not winning. I'm not standing on the podium. You
Hmm.
know, I'm sleeping in more, but I'm still a great athlete because I still I'm still that person,
Hmm.
but it's still evolving and shifting and changing. It doesn't it doesn't leave you just because you're not winning the races anymore or you're
Yeah.
not top in your age group anymore. That
Mhm.
doesn't change your greatness.
That makes me think of Malcolm Gladwell, maybe an author, if you've ever heard of him. I believe he's a social scientist. I'm not exactly sure. He's a brilliant guy, but he a long time ago came up with this idea that to master something, to truly get great, it takes 10,000 hours of work. And that's a lot of hours of concentrated doing the same thing over and over and over again, which I think fits very nicely into the framework you set up of average to good to great. Perhaps someone is born as, straight into good, but you're not no one's born into greatness. It takes that kind of commitment. But what also I took from what you just said a second ago is that your identity was not formed or wrapped around winning, or even the idea of greatness looking like a certain thing. Is that true? Like, have you internally, has it been okay with you as the picture has shifted over the years? Has there been any internal struggle with that, or have you kind of nicely moved into this next phase of what greatness looks like?
That is such a really good question. Thanks for asking that. I feel that I have gracefully moved and shifted, that it's been a really, for myself, a beautiful process to go from like I used to be
Hmm.
to where I am now. And I say this to people all the time. Oh, you're a used to beer. I used to be able to run, a 6 minute mile. I used to
Uh,
be able to run a, 6:30, 50 mile or whatever. I'm like, you still are. You still are everything you used to be. We have just evolved and changed as we age. And that nobody's getting out of that, not one of us. And I
yeah.
really believe it's a matter of how you choose to move forward with the grace and the evolving and what you decide to do with it. For myself, it just became my passion and my purpose, all became like my why. Why do I
Hmm.
do this? I love to run. I love to run. I love to ride my bike. I love to do these things because they bring me great joy. And when they stop bringing the joy, I'll know that it's time to do something else. So it has not bothered me at all, that I'm not where I used to be.
Hmm.
The matter of fact, it's really almost more fun to watch other people get
Hmm.
where they're trying to go. And I look at what people are doing now compared to what I was doing when I was winning. The evolution of sports is mind blowing. Like, you know, I'm sure you'll talk to Marshall Ulrich one day. Well, we laugh about we had red Gatorade, jelly beans, and, like you think about the evolution of
Yeah.
hydration, nutrition, supplements, shoes, clothing, gear. I mean, it's monumental, the shift in all of that that's helping people go further, faster, everything, which is so exciting,
Hmm.
for us old timers, us old schoolers. It's really exciting to watch. But it's also amazing to know what we were able to do
Hmm.
with much less, stuff. We didn't have
Yeah.
Garmins and gadgets and, everything, but so there's no way around getting from the average good to great without all of that. Like, I love watching other people striving for greatness.
So
I know I got off your topic, but
no,
it's
that
it's
that
all
it's
it's all
so
around the same.
it's so good though. And what I'm curious about is, did you, I don't want to word this, did you learn that over time? Like this idea of doing it gracefully and seeing that in other people. How did you know how to do that? How did you learn how to do that? Because where I'm coming from with that question is, my day job, I'm a financial planner. So I work with successful people that tend to be, pretty driven, pretty type A, pretty work their tails off when other people weren't working as hard. Same thing with adventure sports and endurance sports is it brings a person that is willing to do and do and do and do over and over again. And you put it perfectly. We can't do that forever. And at some point, there has to be a shift into some other mode. And I think that's what you really beautifully described of gracefully making the change. But I've seen it not go well, right? Somebody that's like scratching and clawing to hang on to that, whatever it's a time or if it's in a workplace, and everybody else sees it. Like, dude, you got to give it up. It's not working anymore. But I guess that's a long way to ask the same question. How did you know how to do that?
Well, I think when you say, hey, dude, you got to give that up. Like, I don't come from that place. I come from, hey, dude, you can still do some of this, but we have to make some shifts.
Hmm.
We have to make some shifts. We have to make some changes to create a new balance for you, a new a new why, like your
Hmm.
why of why you love to do what you do. I love to work. I want to work 80 hours a week. I want to be known as the person who's like, oh my God, all I do is work. Creating balance. Like, for myself, creating balance was where I was always trying to, raising children, trying to train, getting up at 3 in the morning to be out the door while everybody's sleeping. It's a constant shift, as no matter who you are, you're constantly shifting and changing. And hopefully, with that comes growth,
Hmm.
and wisdom. And you're not letting go of that person who did all that at 3 in the morning or whatever it
Hmm.
was. You have to step into willingness to realize that average, good, or great. It's okay to be good.
Hmm.
It's okay to shift into average every once in a while. I don't have to stay here at the top with this all the time. You don't, as a financial advisor, you don't have to stay at the top all the time because
Hmm.
it's not possible. That if you did that, that's all you're going to do. And you have to think, what's my legacy of my life? Where do I want to spend my time? And if we can get into a place of evolving as we're shifting and growing, with there might be something new out there for you. There might be something, you know, you could still go walk as fast as most people are running, but it's impossible for anybody to stay at the top all the time. And I see it in my own athletes I coach. I see it in friends that are at the highest level, and I see the demise of, oh my God, I'm not winning anymore. Oh my God, I'm top 10, or, that's called life. That, right? That's
Yeah.
called life. I mean, you can only stay at the top for a certain period of time.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people don't plan for that. And I'll use an example of when my kids went away to college, I was a wreck. I was a literally wreck. Like, the change was so monumental that I felt my whole self-worth was gone. Like, I
Wow.
wasn't, they didn't need me anymore. They,
Hmm.
like, it was awful, 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 awful. I'm using this as an example because I'll ask my husband, well, why aren't you such a wreck? And he said, because I planned for it. I thought about it for a long time. And I was like, I didn't plan for it. I didn't think
Mm.
about it for a long time. I just kept them, this
Yeah.
little,
Yeah.
right? And then it was so, so difficult, and something that should be spoken about more often, of how difficult that shift and change is in a family's life.
Yeah.
And I'm using this analogy as an athlete as well, because it's a shift and it's a change and it's a growth process of learning, how am I going to shift and change myself into this newness of life? There's not much difference between it. It's a holy shit moment for a lot of people,
Yeah.
of like, wow, I just woke up today and I'm 65 and I got belly fat. I never had any before. It would just showed up and it just arrived. Like, we can't plan for these moments in life to just show up and pop in and
Yeah.
happen unless we're paying a lot of attention.
Yeah.
So I would say, for an athlete myself, I seriously planned for it a little bit, and it just evolved into gracefully feeling like, I don't have to do this anymore. I
Mm.
don't have to get up at 3 in the morning to train so hard. That's a personal choice, but
Yeah.
it's an interesting conversation to have with lots of people as they're aging. That's my forte and my niche as far as coaching. I love the aging population
Mm.
of athletes, because we are still athletes. We are always athletes, and you don't just have to throw in the towel.
So your friend Bob Becker, just the episode when he comes out, he described a lot of that, and he described your impact on him through the process of trying to figure out what he's, in his words, age appropriateness for
Mm-hmm.
his goals, his training, his, even the races that he picks. Do you find that some people are more open and accepting to that conversation than others?
Absolutely. I think so. I mean, instead of, I'll give you an example. 3 miles from the finish line of the Badwater 135, I was with Bob and I'm behind him, and he's like, Coach, I think after this I'm hanging up my shoes. Coach, I think I'm done after this. He's tired, he's
Hmm.
exhausted.
Yeah.
He's about to do something monumental, and his mind is shifting to, I think I'm done with this sport. I think I'm
Yeah.
done. I'm going to hang my shoes up. And I said, Bob, we'll talk about that at another time. Let's just enjoy where you are right now. And, to this
Oh, that's
finish
good.
line of
Yeah.
where you are, like, enjoy these moments. Look at the trees, look around, listen to the breeze blowing and the people who are here for you. We're not thinking about, I'm hanging up my shoes. So, he finishes 3 hours and 15 minutes faster at 80 than he did at 77. Much better shape. Everything was, it was very tough, of course. There's
Hmm.
no way of running the Badwater 135 without tough. Like, there's no way.
Absolutely.
It's not easy in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
So, it took a few weeks for Bob to recover and feel his way around again. And, I spoke to him last week, and now he's like, well, Coach, what's next? So so it's a shift, right?
Yeah.
It's a shift in the mindset. When you are in it, when you're in at mile 100, or when you at mile 1 of the 5K, or whatever it is, when you are in it, deep in it, it is the hardest thing you've ever done in your life. It just is. And you have to come back to reminding yourself, or have somebody else remind you, you've done harder. You can do this. You have done things that are more challenging. When you're seriously in it, it is the hardest thing you've ever done. And it's like, Bob, you've done harder. It's hard right now, but when we finish, you'll be sitting down in a chair and you will be celebrating, eating, pizza, whatever you want to have.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the shift of the mind,
Yeah.
right? He's done. He's not hanging up the shoes, but now here we go. Okay. He's back to training. And he's feeling good. And of course, his training is designed for him.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody I coach, their training is designed for them personally. It's not what I give you is not what Bob gets. Everybody is uniquely different. And that's my philosophy and style of coaching, to get the best out of you at your age and what's your ability. Nobody's ever gone of what they're capable of doing. Not even Bob Becker. He doesn't know what he's capable of at 80 years old. He's just turned 80.
Yeah.
You don't know whatever your age is, you don't know what you're capable of at this age. You know what you could do at 40.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what I'm going to do at 65. I have no idea what I'm capable of. So creating that within people, that age doesn't define us, and that let's find out what you're capable at this age. And the past is gone. Rear view mirror. Let's look to what's forward.
So you're describing a really changing the focus of the mind from a negative to a positive, the potential in something. Do you think that's a real key to any athlete training for anything, that the mindset is going to dictate a lot of whatever the eventual outcome is?
Absolutely. And not just athletes, anything. Play the
Yeah.
guitar, whatever it might be. Like, it's a work in progress. We all slow down with age. And I hear it all the time. I'm getting old, I'm this, it's like with this, I'm like, dude, let's go, get off the
Yeah.
couch, man.
Yeah.
Like, hey, we can go walk a mile. Like, just because you walked 10 miles 10 years ago, you can walk a mile today, or whatever it's going to be. Like, it's our choice. It's our personal choice. Of course, there's physical limitations that happen with people, and we have to be very mindful of that. Or illness that happens with people, we have to be mindful of that.
Yeah.
But there is a fine line. There is a place where we each have to keep discovering what's possible. And for each of us, I keep changing my why. My passion, and my purpose is constantly shifting and changing. I mean, I'm not raising money for the same things I was raising 20 years ago. I have different things, different values that are forever shifting and changing. And I think that's a good thing,
Mm-hmm.
because I don't stay stuck in the same thing. Not that I don't believe in all of the other, parts of that, but it's good to shift and change. It requires learning, to keep learning and to keep your mind sharp. And it's wisdom, right?
Yeah.
Every one of us gains wisdom as we age, but we don't have to throw in the towel and I'm old, I'm all washed up, I used to be, I can't do that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that is called, seriously, we need to have a conversation. We need to have a conversation, okay? Because there is so much to do in this world, so much to do in this life. And each one of us has capabilities that are unimaginable.
Well, I appreciate you saying there are a couple things in there also about age appropriateness, but also health appropriateness, experience appropriateness. I
Mm-hmm.
think there's a lot of people that will listen to some of these stories and it's so far removed from where they're at currently. And it's like, well, that means nothing to me, right? But I love the way that you kind of took it to every level and said, no matter where we're at, there's something else that we can challenge ourselves with. And, it might be just an inch, it might be a mile, and both of them are just as significant for each person. So I really like that framework. And it's even helpful for me to think, there's a lot of people I don't even come close to compare to with the things that I like to do, but that doesn't really matter. Like there's a way that I can still learn and get better and challenge myself in the next 6 weeks compared to where I'm at right now, without any, maybe shame's a strong word, but without any like feeling bad about comparing against someone else. And I love the quote that comparison is the thief of joy. I would say I've seen that a lot, even with athletes, that it will remove, or any of these endurance feats, that it will remove the joy of doing the thing when, if we're comparing the result to somebody else, because somebody else, at least in my case, somebody else is always going to be better at fill in the blank.
All the time.
Yeah.
Someone's going to be fitter, faster, cuter, whatever it's going to be, all the time. And
Yeah.
I ask people, like, I'll ask you, who's the most important person in your life?
My wife and kids, and yeah.
Wrong answer. Who's the most important person in
Oh,
your
okay.
life?
Me.
Okay,
Yeah. There you go.
that's it. So when we put ourself as the most important person in our
Yes.
life,
I
we
gotcha.
you don't have to compete with anybody else. This is all about you. This is about you trying to improve yourself and trying to feel good about what you're doing with yourself. And when you do that, that's where joy truly
Mm,
comes. And
that
that's
is
where,
really good.
that's where your wife is watching, your kids are watching. My kids are watching me every single day. I know, and they're learning from me. They're learning from us. If I don't step up and put myself first, they are going to never put themselves first. And we want them to,
Goodness. Yeah.
we want people to put themselves first, because say someone says, I don't have time to work out. And I'll say, what do you mean you don't have time to work out? Well, you have so much more time than me to work out. And I'll say, well, I don't know. If I wake up today, I have 24 hours to the very second. You have the same 24 hours to the very second that I do. So, how do I have more time than you? It's a matter of choosing myself, taking time for myself to better myself, to achieve the goals and dreams that I have personally, which also help my family, my friends, my colleagues, whatever it might be in life, to choose yourself. And so I'll say, get your daily planner out
Hmm.
and pick 1 hour today. Maybe we have to start with 15 minutes, okay? Because you have no time for yourself to work out. Let's pick 15 minutes in your daily, start from 7 a.m., all the way to 7 a.m., 24 hours. You've got to find 15 minutes. Mark it in there. Okay, 7 p.m. to 7:15 p.m. I'm writing my name in there.
Hmm.
Okay. If someone calls you and says, hey, you got time to work out? You got time to go for a drink at 7 p.m.? You look at your calendar, say, I'm so sorry I don't, but I have an appointment. And you don't have to tell them with who. That is the most important appointment of your day. That appointment with yourself.
That
Because
is
that's where the
so
work
good.
happens.
Yeah.
That's where the work happens, when we
Well,
dedicate
yeah.
time for growth.
It's so much easier to be a victim of busyness, of,
Yes.
someone else's decisions, anything else external that is causing these things in our life. And I'm saying this like I've lived that for years, to then flip the script and say, no, I can actually choose a different path. And I have a day timer that almost every morning I'm writing down a list of
I got
things
the
that,
same.
yeah, that I'm trying to accomplish today, things that Josh needs to take care of. Some of it is responsibility, some of it is, exercising. And I have gotten all of those tasks, I've gotten much more regular with by writing them down and saying that they're going to be a priority in the day. So I completely relate to what you're saying, but it's hard. And that
It's
was the
very
other
hard.
point. The easier thing is to be, whipped around by the tyranny of the immediate and not plan ahead.
But why give up the appointment that you have made with yourself and and put other people in there? Because the person that you're working on is you. So I always say the most important appointment of the day is the one that I've scheduled with myself.
Hmm.
Whether it's 6 to 7 in the morning or 6 to 8, your name is in there. Don't scratch it off. Of course, if your kid has an emergency, your wife, things like that, yes. But
Hmm.
if for some reason, a business meeting or whatever it is, you just simply say, I'm sorry, I'm already booked at that time. Because if you give up your time for you, those dreams are going off to somebody else.
Well, I can see why you are a good coach because I mean these are things that everybody needs to hear. Not many people have this natural tendency towards the things. And kind of like you're talking with Bob, also that tough love in the right moment is so valuable to reset the trajectory of where someone's going. I want to kind of leapfrog off of this a little bit though, and let's use yourself because we haven't talked a lot about your accomplishments that I could spend probably 15 minutes going down and reading the bullet points on your website of the things that you've done over your career. But they've all been really long and difficult and hard. And some of them you won, some of them you completed, some of them you did for raising money, but all of them I would say, I would guess at some level you suffered through moments of those events and then you finished and planned the next one and then did another one and planned the next one. Right. And what I'm always curious about in any of these conversations is what is the carrot for you specifically that continually brought you back, knowing that it's going to be hard, knowing that there are going to be moments of suffering and difficulty and whatever. What was it for you that kept you coming back?
That is such a great question. I think what kept me going back is the yearning to keep learning. There is so much learning in when you're in endurance, when you're in it, like for days and days and miles of learning. And you simply are truly in a moment. You're
Learning
in
about
this
yourself or like humanity,
everything,
everything. Okay.
literally everything. It's where I write the books that I haven't written. It's where, there's so much that happens there with peace and solitude and simplicity that we make life so much more difficult than it has to be.
Hmm.
And I've truly learned that it's all about love. Like, that's what my hat
Like your
says,
hat
love.
says.
Like my hat says, is that if I could define any of it at all, it's truly about love. You know, suffering to me, suffering, yeah, that's something you do in these endurance things. But I don't use it as suffering. My sister had stage 4 colon cancer. She suffered.
Hmm.
Mine, what I do is by choice. Like it is a choice to continue to go out there, feel pain, get blisters, oh, everything hurts and,
Hmm.
all of that. But nobody's making me suffer. I'm choosing, choosing this path. And the path that you choose is one of learning. It's just, there's so much to learn and constantly learning. And it's just like, I look forward to going back to doing these things because I learn and I grow and I feel great love, great empathy for the world and for people. And it's where I truly get to feel at home.
Like you don't have, I mean, obviously you wear the hat, the love, I'm sure it's a integral part of your life, but are you saying that there's a level of connection with that that you don't get unless you're at kind of the physical ends of yourself?
There's a level of connection, I think, with yourself, a level of connection that when you're brought to the depths of what you're capable of or your limitations, where you realize that life is love. I mean, it's just, I don't, it's so hard for me to explain it because I'm the one experiencing it.
Hmm.
And I would tell you that I know other people who've experienced it. It's just this yearning of continuing to move on your feet or to keep swimming or to keep riding a bike, whatever it might be, because you feel at home. You feel such peace in that space. And that might be, the pain cave, or that
Yeah.
might be where the suffering is, or staying in this box of movement where you just feel so at one with life.
Hmm.
It's a closeness, with the universe, with God, that's just, it's very indescribable to me.
And,
But
and you're saying that's the carrot, that's the thing that you know
that's
is
the
there
carrot.
that takes you back.
Yeah. And
That
I
makes
can't
so much
get I
sense.
can't get that going on a
Yeah.
10 mile. I can't get that, you know, going for 20 miles. It's a unique journey, of self-discovery for each and every individual.
Hmm. You just said a couple words there that I've wanted to explore with and haven't really gone into a whole lot of depth with guests in the past, but the idea of connecting with the spiritual as we do these hard things, of expanding what we, our, whether we call it God or higher power or the universe, whatever that is. Can you say a little bit more about what that experience is for you when you're in the midst of it in some of these, whether they're races or adventures that you do?
Absolutely. For me, it really is a spiritual journey. It's where, you know, I talk to God all the time, and I'll use God. It's not for everybody. Everybody has their own ways, their own path, their own, ways that they see and view things. But it's where I feel very close to God. It's where I feel very close to friends and loved ones that have moved on to the next adventure in life.
Hmm.
It's true. It's where I talk to them the most. And it's it's just it's just there. It's
Hmm.
just there. It's so hard to explain. The spiritual part of it is so connected to the mental, the physical, all of it. But it's a it's an unknown. It, as you can tell, I'm having a hard time describing it because it really is an unknown, and it's so uniquely crazy amazing for each
Hmm.
person. If you sat us all down, all the people I know that have done many, 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 long distance or enduring things, you may get a different answer. But for my experience, it is a wow,
Hmm.
like,
Yeah.
keep me here, let me keep doing this, or whatever it might be. But I feel the connection to the earth, to the spiritual side, to all of it.
And how does that play back into your regular everyday life?
It helps a lot. It helps me a lot. It's hopefully the way I try to live my life of, you know, it gives me purpose, like the
Hmm.
purpose behind your passion. And sometimes your passion and your purpose, hopefully they align.
Mm.
But, sometimes they are painful, not only mentally, physically, spiritual. It's not
Yeah.
always beautiful. Sometimes pain creates beautiful.
Yeah, I've wondered that, and it's come out in these conversations in different ways that perhaps we don't get to the beautiful without some level of pain. And we're talking about, on the surface, races and endurance feats, but I think what you're also getting at is translating that into real life, that
Yeah.
some of the most painful things that we all experience, we can hold hope that it does create something beautiful. And, it's hard to say that in the moment without being able, it's an act of faith to say it. I believe, I would say that in the moment, it doesn't feel like anything beautiful is going to come out of XYZ situation. But to say that there's something good that will be coming is redemptive, and it is creates some hope in it. That I again that you're getting this illustration out of the things that you've chosen to do in races or other events is just fascinating to me. That such a like deep life lessons that have come from that people that aren't pushing themselves aren't necessarily getting at. I would say this, and you tell me what you think about this. The words that you use to describe that connection when you get into the really difficult parts of the race are similar words that I've heard other people use when they talk about a psychedelic experience that healed their depression or healed an issue, but that they connected with the universe or a higher power. It's same words that I've heard people that have had near death experiences have used about when they talked about connecting with their creator or their God. They're the same words, which I find like I'm going to have to think about that. What exactly is going on there? But what are your thoughts about where some of these things overlap into more of the metaphysical part of our existence?
I think our minds are so incredibly powerful, and under, great fatigue, sleep deprivation that you experience when you're going for days and days or miles and miles, or somebody who's working 48 hours or working 72 hours. I
Hmm.
mean, I'm not just talking sports. There is some real life learning that happens under these situations. For me personally, it is a deep connection on a much deeper level where that's where I am connected the most. And, I haven't heard other people's views, or, maybe I have, but it certainly hasn't guided my own. And my reason for wanting to continue is because I yearn to go back there.
Mm.
I yearn to go back there. I yearn to feel those feelings. And sure, I can pray and meditate and, all of that, but it's where I allow myself to disconnect, if that's a good word.
Yeah.
Disconnect and just be,
Yeah.
time and space, and just be where I am and who I am. And it's just the constant learning of all of it.
Yeah.
And it's not just sports. It happens to people in all kinds of, I
Right.
childbirth. Yeah, I'm sure, like, there's so many different avenues where, I hope anybody who listens to this, it's more like, sure, I'm an athlete, but so are you, whether you're doing a mile or 2 miles. But that just because I've done what I've done, don't let that stop you from doing what you want to do, whether it's picking up the guitar, whatever it might be. That these You can find a level of incredible joy in so many things in life that are out there waiting for you.
Very inspirational. And the thing I was going to say also that was consistent in a lot of these different venues, is that the ultimately it all comes down to what's on your hat. And people listening to this aren't going to be able to see it, but big letters says love. That is really the bottom line denominator of everything. So again, it's fascinating to me that regardless of what
Yeah.
venue it is, that parts of our brain are being shut off so that other parts can expand and capture that. It's all getting to the same conclusion. And it makes sense to me that that would be the thing that keeps pulling you back to find that over and over again. So I think, we've been talking, I mean, we've gotten so far off the list of questions that
That's
I started
okay.
with, but this is such, man, I could do this all day long. And it really, I think, gets to what makes me excited about adventure, and even the things that I do, is that there is more to it than just the thing. Doing the thing just for the sake of the thing is really an empty pursuit. But that what's the carrot that really is truly meaningful that keeps bringing us back? And I think you've done such a good job of explaining what that looks like for you. And I think also in listening to it, it's going to be easy for folks to hear this and apply it in their life, and in a way that is very inspirational to go find it for themselves.
It also comes down to like, find your why. Like, ask yourself why you want to do this. Why, like, find the purpose and the passion and the why. They kind of all go together. And don't be stuck. Don't stay stuck on something if it's not bringing you joy. Like, you want to create joy, and you have to create joy by doing and feeling and being a part of something. And that does take a greater purpose, I
Mm.
believe. But when something stops being joyful or stops being fun, stops making you feel good, it's time to find something different. And there are so many different choices. And that's why I feel like your why are you doing this? Or why do you want to do this?
Hmm.
Or how are you planning to do this? If you ask a lot of people, like, hey, what's your dream? I don't know. I don't have a dream. You won't believe it. It's okay. So that's why I call myself a dream chaser. Like,
Mm.
you can help people find a dream. And then we literally chase it down, literally chasing it down,
That is a cool picture.
starting right now with 1 minute. 1 minute, you're starting to chase 1 inch, 1 minute, 5 minutes, like you said, 2 inches. You're
Hmm.
chasing this dream down, however it might be. And I started my own company called Dream Chasers like 40 years ago, where, you're chasing down a dream. And it's not always about being an athlete, it's about life and finding
Well,
what you love to do.
yeah, I mean, so well said. And I think as I look at and nobody's going to be able to see this, but what I've got up on my screen is your career highlights on your website. That, I mean, I don't know how many thousands of miles are represented here
Sadly, it's
either.
got to be updated a long years ago. It hasn't been. That's
Yeah,
okay. I don't care.
yes. Yeah, but even, I mean, it does look like this ends around 2012 or 2013, and I'm sure
Mm.
you've done a lot more since then. But there's a lot on here, that a lot of miles, a lot of efforts. But one of the things that stands out is in 2008, it says you did no, yeah, 2006, completing the Badwater double. And that other than being a mother, wife, and mentor, this is one of your greatest highlights of your athletic career. Why does that one stand out as different, other than the distance and the location? Is there something else about that one that stands out?
The Badwater double,
Hmm.
I don't even know why it stands out, because it doesn't stand out anymore. That's funny.
Interesting.
Yeah, yeah. I think at the time it stood out because my kids were little, and, the time and the effort. And, then I went on to do the Badwater Quad, so I don't even know if it's on there. It's honestly what I decided
It's
was,
not. That's interesting. I knew you had done the
yeah,
quad, and the only thing that's on here is the double.
yeah.
So, and so maybe this is a good thing to talk about, is that the things that were important maybe 10 or 15 years ago kind of meld into everything else, and they don't hold the importance that that they used to. So are there things that stand out anymore, or is it the body of work that is much more important to you?
The body of work, which is much more important to me.
Yeah.
I don't focus or, look what I did, look what I did. If you ask me my times or anything, I'd say I don't know, because it's true that I look forward to what there is to do. Like what we've done is done. And,
Hmm.
hopefully you're proud of it. And whether it was good, bad, and the ugly, hopefully you learned something from it. I've learned more from every failure than I ever did from any success. That
Hmm.
you learn, and you know don't look to the past, look to the future of what there is to do next. How am I moving forward? Of course, proud of everything you've done in the past, but look forward, don't look back.
So what is in the windshield view for you for what you're looking at next?
Continue to grow my coaching, which I love to do next to my family. I'm planning on guiding one of my friends and students, Aaron. When I say guiding, he's completely blind,
Mm.
through 140 miles in November.
Wow.
So that'll be really fun. We guided Aaron in the Badwater 135 a few years ago. I find a lot more joy in helping others cross finish lines now than my own.
That's really cool. Where's the 140 miles located?
It is in Arizona, called the Route 6640. Heather and Marshall Ulrich are the
Yeah.
race directors.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bob had just
So,
mentioned that race.
yep. And I'm sure Bob will be going to volunteer, but I will be out there guiding Aaron with two others. So it'll be a great adventure, one of a lot of tough love.
Is that race on the road the entire time, or is there any off
Yes.
trail? Okay.
Yeah. It's on the road. It's tough for Aaron to do trail.
I would imagine. Yeah.
Not only is he blind, he's also deaf. So it's tough. It's very hard for him to do trail, although he would love to.
Hmm. So
He's
how do you communicate with him during the race?
So Aaron has about 10% hearing in his left ear through a
Okay.
cochlear implant. And in the race, we have a system that we came up with it at Badwater. We blow a whistle. It's really loud. So he can hear. One is to stop, two is to run, and three is to walk. So we have three different ways of
Hmm.
blowing the whistle that Aaron can hear. And he goes at the pace that we're able to go. It's a pretty amazing situation. Aaron is an incredible athlete, incredible human, and it's obviously an honor to be a part of his life too.
How did you get into or find that opportunity?
Well, I'm Aaron's coach. I've been coaching Aaron for a few years, several years now, and it's be the second time that I've guided him, and it's at Badwater. I feel very confident guiding him in the long stuff. That was my first time ever, rather than like a marathon, because he's much faster. But in the
Hmm.
long stuff, it's where my experience comes in, and it's just so great to be a part of it as a coach as well as his friend.
That is really cool. And did he find you as a coach?
He did, and we'd have to ask him how he found me. It's been a while. It's been
Yeah,
a while, but and he's also someone you should consider on your podcast.
that would be amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he is a remarkable human being.
One of my guests about a year ago is a guy named Joe Gray, who is legally blind and became an Olympic athlete, a Paralympic athlete, and as a sprinter. So very different than the types of racing that you and I have been talking about for the last hour, but mindset, mentality, drive, the willingness to learn and see things as a challenge, not as difficulties. Those, I mean, it just seeped out of this guy, and probably very similar to Aaron, that obviously they don't let very difficult things stop them from pursuing the things that they want to do.
Aaron told me one time, he said that he decided to either stay sitting in the kitchen chair, blind and deaf, or he could get off his ass and be the best blind, deaf person alive.
Oh my gosh.
And that's
That is amazing.
exactly what he's doing.
That is amazing.
Yep.
That I would love to have him on the podcast. I think
And you
such
will.
a cool conversation. Okay. Well, Lisa, I meant to say this earlier. Love your backdrop. The
Thank you.
log cabin. I don't even know what you're looking at in the front, but I'm jealous already because
Mountains.
oh my gosh. And you're outside of Jackson, is that correct?
We are in Jackson.
You're in Jackson. Okay.
Yeah.
So you have some very big mountains around you, which is very cool.
We do. Come visit anytime.
I'd love that. I love that. Well, thanks again for spending the time, and so sorry with the technical difficulties to get started, but
don't worry about that at all. I'm glad this worked out. You're a real joy. You ask great questions, and I'm happy to share.
All right. Thanks, Lisa.
Okay. Take care.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the On Adventure podcast. Be on the lookout for another episode dropping in a couple weeks. And be sure to go to our YouTube page and subscribe and follow us there, as well as on all the socials from Facebook to Instagram and LinkedIn. Until our next episode, I hope you stay safe and stay on adventure.